Thunderbolts and lightning. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite albums, and today I'm going to do an album review on the latest Charli XCX album, How I'm Feeling Now. So, let's go. Another day, another album review. I have all the time in the world. Come at me, bro, come at me! So, Charli XCX is a British pop singer-songwriter, and she had been in the game for a very, very long time. In the early 2010s, he had written a multitude of songs for different artists, and they are all hits. I mean, we have the I Don't Care, I Love It song, which is a huge hit back in the good old days, and she also wrote, or at least co-wrote, the Fancy song with Iggy Azalea, which also became a hit, and also the hit for Iggy Azalea, because every other Iggy song are not hits. Come on, just admit it, guys. So, right off the bat, Charli XCX is a really talented songwriter. She can write legit catchy hooks and memorable songs with awesome production. But unfortunately, that's not really the case for her solo material back in the early days, where her solo material just feel kinda, run of the mill, kinda by the numbers, not really all that special or anything, until the year 2019, last year, when she dropped the album Charli, which is one of the most cutting edge, futuristic, creative, and fun and versatile pop albums of the year and of the decade, with singles such as Gone, which is my favorite song of the entire year of 2019. So you can imagine how much I expect from Charli XCX from then on. And of course, the track I Shake It, I Shake It, I Shake It, Ooh has grown on me a lot. The track Silver Cross is very sweet and catchy. 1999 featuring Troye Sivan, and 2099. Both of these tracks are amazing. So, ever since Charli, we have been getting a different vibe from her music, because her music nowadays sound very futuristic, cutting edge, very distorted and electronic heavy, and glitchy and abrasive. And on this album, she fully embraces that style and makes one of, if not the most, distorted and glitchy and most electronic heavy pop album that she's ever made. And this album is also very much a quarantine album, given that we are still in the midst of the COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic. She and a lot of artists out there actually are actively making music in the middle of this period of time. And so how I'm feeling now is pretty much a quarantine update. Like, okay, I'm stuck at my home now. This is how I'm feeling now. These are my thoughts. Check these thoughts out. And what's also kind of special about this album is that she documented the entire creative process behind making this album on Instagram. So if you followed her on Instagram, you would see her literally writing lyrics on a piece of paper, producing, singing, asking her own viewers to send her video clips for her music videos, asking her own fans to write lyrics for her. This is a really open album. A lot of her fans actually get to be involved in the making of the album, and I thought that was actually pretty cool, even though won't you want to hide your secret recipe? But anyways, if she wants to do that, then sure, why not? Anyways, let's talk about the album itself. I have to admit, this album is definitely not as spectacular or as ambitious as Charli, her previous album. This one is definitely a more low-key album, given that every single track title starts with a lowercase. Even the album title starts with a lowercase. It's almost like this album is the thank you next to Charli's sweetener. I guess you could say that. But this album is not bad at all. I think there are a lot of good tracks here, but definitely not as great as the tracks on Charlie, in my opinion. The album starts off really strongly though with the track Pink Diamond, which I first thought was kind of weird, but actually it grew on me a lot. I love how bold, quirky, and strange and sharp the tones of the synths are in the beginning, and we get these half hip hop, half sung chants, which are really catchy. And then in the middle of the track, we get this really menacing, distorted bass, which is just yes. And it's a very memorable opening to the album overall. And then we have the track Forever, which is a super solid song, solid songwriting. The hook is catchy, it is lovely, it is sweet, and I also kind of I don't love, but I think given the stay at home movement, the DIY I'm staying at my home now, how about you music video is actually kind of smart. And I also like the abrasive whooshing and swooshing noises throughout the entire song, which makes this song not your average generic love pop song, but something more special with special production. Of course, Dylan Brady from 100 gecs had production credits on this album as well, so we're expecting some crazy ass, glitchy, flashy, electronic, heavy pop music on this album. Over to the third track, Claws, which is also a lead up single, and I actually am not too crazy about this track, while the hook and the chorus and the core of this track is really nice. I also do like the lubby-dubby synths of the track. The beat is kind of rigid, and the I like everything about you. It's a little repetitive. It's not, again, melodically, it's not bad, but I just wish that there's more, dynamic to the lyrics and the sound of the song. And then we have the track 7 Years, which is actually a very expressive and shouty song. Charli XCX really shouted loudly on this track. And I do appreciate that. Her vocals are really raw, expressive, and just to be heard. We have tons of vocal layers on this track. And then we have the instrumentals, which is very minimal and not in a way that I like it. It's a little on the dry side, and it doesn't really complement the thick vocal layers from Charli XCX all that well. And we also have the track Detonate, which is not a bad track at all. Oh, look, thunder. It's been raining all day, so, Detonate, it's a more low-key track. It's a sad love song. We have lyrics on this track where Charli XCX talks about, I don't even trust myself. Why should you trust me? It's almost like Charli XCX is confronting, the protagonist of the track is confronting her own lover. Like, I can legitimately say terrible things and hurt you. Why should you be in a relationship with me? And it's kind of a sad love song, and the melodies, the instrumentals of the track itself is not bad. We get these quick clappy beats, which are pretty cool. We also get some bubbly keyboards, which are pretty cool. But then again, I don't think this track really stand out all that much to me. But maybe this track will grow on me. There is a huge chance that this track will grow on me. So Anyways, the track Enemy is also a very low-key track, except I actually kind of enjoy this one because I actually like the deep bassy keyboards of the track, and the smooth clickety-rickety beats on top really perfectly matches with the keyboards, and the performances. The vocal performances are more low key, but it's totally fine because the instrumentals, they are kind of fantastic. And then we have lyrics about how Charli XCX, or at least the protagonist of the track, thinks that her romantic partner, her boyfriend, is an enemy because she keeps his boyfriend so close to herself. So okay, maybe you're an enemy now. And it's actually one of the more interesting lyrical topics being explored on this album. So I like this track. The next track, I Finally Understand, did not resonate with me. Not really. And the beat of this track sounds like a simplified version of a classic generic drum and bass beat. The bass keyboards on this track are really minimal and with lyrics which are really questionable. I guess it's a love song, like, oh, we melt the walls between us now, and now we're, really, close and intimate with one another. And with lyrics like liquid in my hands, liquid in my mouth. What liquid are you talking about, Charlie? What liquid? Anyways, the next track, C 2.0, is actually a sequel to Click off of Charli, and I actually like this track a lot, even though it may sound a little repetitive in the middle part of the track where it's just click, 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 click. But actually, I think this track is. I like this track more than the original Click song. I think it's more robust, more glitchy, sounds more interesting, and I love the overblown, ear-piercing, buzzing bass of the track, and the way the click, 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 click vocals suddenly melt into a layer of instrumentals underneath where Charlie's vocals sing on top. Actually pretty genius. And we also have the track Party for You, which is a track about partying for you. And it's a pretty quiet song. It does have some bassy, boomy hits. The instrumentals are really quiet and low key. The vocals are just as quiet and low key, maybe a little reverby, not that interesting sounding. And the track Anthems is the total opposite of that. I love the track Anthems. It is loud, unapologetic, scratchy, flashy, bold, ambitious. And then we have the lyrics. And the lyrics on this track are actually written by fans. Like, of course, they're cherry picked, but a lot of the lyrics are actually written by Charlie's own fans, and they ended up on the song, which I find pretty cool. And I also really like the how this track sounds in general. It just sounds like a really demented party in the year 2052. And the album ends up with the track Visions, which has a pretty quiet and low-key opening, but later it sort of builds up to a climax, and the climax is kind of crazy. Towards the second half of the track, we just get this pounding, constantly pounding, loud rave beat, and it just gets more and more demented, more and more dizzying, and at the end it just melts down, it just breaks down, and I actually kind of like that. It just adds a really interesting sonic effect, and it's a really memorable ending to the album. And I guess that's all I have to say about this album. I think not a majority, but I'd say a good portion of the tracks on this album are pretty enjoyable, pretty pleasant, and the production is actually really nice. And I think the hooks on this album are mostly catchy and interesting sounding. And while lyrically this album doesn't really explore all that much beyond "Ha, I love you, E," but and obviously some songs here do not live up to the wild, whack status that some of the songs on Charli has. But still, I think it's okay. I think it's a pretty good album. My favorite track here is Forever, and my least favorite track here is my least favorite track is I guess if I have to pick one, Party for You. I'm giving Charli XCX's How I'm Feeling Now a strong 6 to a light 7 out of 10. So, have you listened to Charli XCX How I'm Feeling Now? From 1 to 10, how much did you rate it? Like if you like it and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. I have no storage space.